My startup mentor grabbed the mic after our big demo and said I was more trouble than I'm worth. My co-founder, who I literally funded and built the product with, just stared at his water bottle. My name is Rachel Vance. I'm 27 years old. I live in Seattle. And until that morning, I was the CTO and co-founder of a fast-rising AI startup called Lattice Pulse. I had just walked off stage. The applause was still fading. Our product demo had gone off without a hitch. Our new AI moderation tool was already in pilot use with 2 Fortune 500s. And I'd just announced our pre-seed round was fully subscribed. I should have been proud. I was proud, for about 90 seconds. That's when Leonard, our startup whisperer mentor, stepped forward to take the mic. He had this way of speaking like he was narrating a TED talk even when he was just ordering a coffee. Tall, bald, always in that navy blazer with the startup pins on the lapel. He smiled at the crowd like he had just remembered something charming. And of course, he said, a huge thanks to Rachel for all the enthusiasm. She's a brilliant dev, no doubt, but behind the scenes, she's been, let's just say, a bit more trouble than she's worth. A laugh rolled through the room, a small, confused one, like people weren't sure if it was a joke. I blinked. Was that real? Leonard kept going like he hadn't just ripped the rug out from under me. What matters now is the future. With the right team leading the charge, the stable team, we're positioned to grow. He didn't look at me once. Just turned to the crowd and started fielding questions about product market fit and international scaling. I turned toward our table. Evan stared down at his water bottle like it was fascinating. Priya gave me this tiny, apologetic shrug. And Mason, the guy I had spent the last year building Lattice Pulse with, wouldn't even meet my eyes. Not one of them said a word. I stood there in that stupid branded hoodie, the one I'd bought for the whole team, and I felt my stomach drop. I had built the back end. I had onboarded our beta partners. I was the one who put my savings into the AWS bills, the design contractors, the conference fees. And now? I was more trouble than I'm worth. I should have shouted. I should have thrown my badge at him. But instead, I did the one thing no one expected. I walked back to the mic. I'd like to make a quick note, I said, my voice steady. Leonard glanced over, clearly annoyed I was still on stage. I just want to clarify something, I said. I built this product. I funded half the company's operations from my own pocket. And I'm the reason you're sitting on 2 term sheets. The room went dead quiet. But effective immediately, I'm stepping away from Lattice Pulse. Completely, financially, technically, emotionally. A wave of murmurs rose around us. Someone in the back gasped. I wish the team luck, I said, but I won't be subsidizing anyone's ego anymore. I handed the mic to the next speaker and walked off stage. The applause this time wasn't for me, but the silence behind me? That was mine. I didn't slam the door on my way out. I didn't make a scene. I just pushed through the lobby of the Mercer Tech Pavilion with my hands shaking and my phone buzzing like it was caught in a panic attack of its own. Outside, the evening air hit me like a slap, cold and bracing. I didn't stop walking until I reached the parking lot. Not until the noise behind me felt far enough away to ignore. My hands were trembling. I could barely get the car unlocked. The first text came in while I was sitting in the driver's seat, just staring at the dashboard. Leonard, of course. Leonard, Rachel, don't blow this out of proportion. You know how founders banter. Don't make it weird. Then Evan, hey, don't leave like that. We should talk. Let's not undo everything over a misunderstanding. Then Mason, you blindsided everyone. We should have had a private convo before making it public. I let the screen go dark. The car stayed parked. For a long time, I just sat there, gripping the wheel, trying not to cry in the middle of the tech world's biggest parking lot. I'd always told myself I was too smart to be caught off guard, too prepared, but that wasn't really true, was it? I'd been caught off guard 100 times, when Mason promised to cover the server bill and didn't, when Priya forgot to loop me in on the last investor call, when Leonard started referring to me as technical support in meetings. This time, though, I wasn't going to backtrack. I drove home in silence, tossed my phone on the couch, and didn't touch it again for 2 days. The only sound in my apartment was the hum of the fridge and the occasional angry buzz of another notification. I turned those off, too. For the first time in over a year, I slept more than 4 hours. No pitch decks, no sprint planning, just sleep, but silence doesn't last forever. By the 3rd day, the real messages started. Mason, Rachel, the AWS bill's overdue. Can you take care of it one last time? Priya, our Notion account got suspended. I know you set it up under your card. Evan, can you unlock the Figma files? I think they're still tied to your email. Every message tried to sound casual, light, like I was still on the team, like I hadn't quit in front of 100 people with a mic in my hand. I didn't reply, so the tone shifted. Evan, it's pretty selfish to leave us hanging like this. We're under pressure, too. Leonard, I trusted you. Guess I misread your character. I could have defended myself. Could have said, I gave you everything I had. But what was the point? Let them squirm. For once, I wasn't the one fixing it. I was halfway through a bowl of reheated noodles and a Netflix documentary I wasn't really watching when the knock came. Not the soft kind. The urgent, someone has something to say kind. I didn't check the peephole. I already knew. Mason. I opened the door slowly, still holding my chopsticks. He looked out of breath, like he'd run up the stairs even though the elevator worked fine. His hoodie was wrinkled, and his jaw was tight. We need to talk, he said. I stepped aside without a word. He didn't sit down, just hovered near the counter, eyes bouncing around like he was trying to find the right script. Look, he said finally, this whole thing got blown out of proportion. Leonard shouldn't have said what he said. You know he exaggerates. I leaned back against the wall, arms crossed. He sighed. But seriously, Rachel, walking away like that? In public? That was brutal. Brutal? I repeated. You mean like being called nothing but trouble in front of the people I brought to the table? That wasn't fair, he admitted. But you didn't have to cut us off. You were part of the team. I was the team, I said, the words sharp before I even realized I'd raised my voice. I built the product. I pitched the first investors. I paid for our Slack premium plan with my own damn card. His face flushed. You always had more money. It made sense. I blinked. Is that what this is? You thought because I could, I should? You always just handled stuff, he said, avoiding eye contact. It wasn't like we forced you. No, I said. You didn't force me. You just made it really easy for me to feel like if I didn't do it, no one would. And you never once said thank you. He looked like he wanted to argue. His mouth opened and closed once. But nothing came out. I kept going. I didn't walk away because Leonard embarrassed me. I walked away because you stood there and let him. You, Priya, Evan, all of you. Not one of you spoke up. It wasn't the time, he said quietly. It was the only time that ever would have mattered, I said. And you chose silence. He sat down on the edge of the armrest, his posture sagging. I didn't realize how much we leaned on you, he said, until you disappeared. Yeah, I said. You and me both. There was a long silence. For a second, I thought he might apologize. But of course he didn't. So, what now? He asked. I picked up my chopsticks again. Now, you figure out how to pay for your own servers. He left a few minutes later without saying goodbye. And this time, I didn't feel guilty about watching the door close behind him. It started with a Slack DM from someone I barely remembered. Jenna R., ex-Devrel intern. Hey Rachel, just wanted to say I saw what happened at demo day. Total BS. You didn't deserve that. I stared at the message for a long time before replying with just, thanks. Within hours, there were more. A product manager from another incubator messaged me on LinkedIn. Was that Leonard on stage? I heard rumors he's impossible to work with. A former founder I'd met at a retreat DM'd me on Twitter. He tried to poach our designer last year and told investors we didn't have product market fit while we were still fundraising. Then came the email. The subject line was just, off the record? It was from a journalist I'd met once at a pitch dinner. She'd been kind back then, curious about our tech. Now she was curious in a different way. Words going around that there was a shakeup at Lattice Pulse. Leonard's been telling people you bailed, that you walked out and left your team high and dry. But that's not the version I've heard from others. Want to talk? I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I wasn't sure I wanted to say it out loud. But then I got a message that tipped the scale. Ella, ex-intern, summer 23. Hey Rachel, not sure if you remember me. I did QA intern work last summer. Just wanted to say, I left because of Leonard. He was awful. Dismissive, took credit for my bug reports and told me to smile more in the office. I thought I was crazy for a while, but after demo day, it all makes sense. And then another one. Lucas, early dev hire, fired after 3 weeks. Leonard's trying to cover his ass. You're not the first, just the first who walked away with the mic still hot. That's when I realized it wasn't just me. The story Leonard was selling, the one where I was unstable, emotional, impossible to work with, was the same one he'd recycled before. For interns, for junior hires, for anyone who pushed back. The difference this time was, people were paying attention. Investors started asking questions. 2 of our old mentors, the kind who only showed up during funding rounds, reached out to check in. One of them let it slip. He told us you were spiraling, that he had to clean up your mess. I didn't respond, but I forwarded the email to the reporter. She called that night. I didn't even say hello. I just said, I'm ready to talk, not because I wanted revenge, but because people deserve to know what it cost to build something behind a curtain of silence, and what it looks like when the person holding the curtain finally steps away. Let me know when you're ready for scene 5, the return, with boundaries. I only went back for one reason, my laptop. Technically, it was mine, purchased with my own money, but I'd left it at the shared workspace in the chaos after demo day. I'd walked out with nothing but my bag, my phone, and a sense of finality I thought would be enough. It wasn't. I didn't schedule a time or give a heads up. Just showed up on a rainy Wednesday afternoon when I figured nobody would be there except maybe the front desk intern. I was wrong. Leonard was at the glass table near the whiteboard wall, holding court like always, sketching arrows and boxes on a napkin while some poor founder-in-residence nodded like he understood what the hell agile synergy feedback loops were supposed to mean. He didn't see me at first. I walked straight to our team's old desk, 4 mismatched chairs, 2 dead succulents, 1 out-of-place yoga ball. My laptop was still there, so were a few of my books. My name was still taped to the monitor stand in red Sharpie. I started packing up. That's when I heard him. Well, Leonard said behind me, his voice full of that oily charm that always made people think he was being generous, even when he was twisting a knife. The prodigal coder returns. I didn't turn around. Here to make a dramatic exit again, he added with a smirk in his voice. Or just realized you missed the spotlight? I zipped up my bag, stood up slowly, and finally looked at him. You should really change your password, I said. His smile twitched. Excuse me? You know, the one you used for the Lattice Stripe account? And the 3 others that start with $admin 2023? You used the same login on your personal Gmail, and your old AngelList profile. His mouth opened, then closed. I didn't come here to fight, I said, sliding the laptop strap over my shoulder. But I figured you'd want to know before someone else finds out how many discretionary expense reimbursements you claimed for mentorship dinners at that steakhouse downtown. He froze. I watched it land. Watched the exact moment he realized I hadn't just walked away. I'd walked away with receipts. I've kept quiet, I said, but don't mistake that for complicity. I've had conversations. And I've shown people things they needed to see. He laughed, but it was shaky. What are you going to do? Destroy the company out of spite? No, I said. I'm going to leave it alone. Let it collapse on its own. He stepped forward. You think anyone will believe you over me? They already do, I said quietly. That's why the reporter called you last night, right? The one writing about incubator misconduct? He didn't respond. I started toward the door, then paused. One more thing, I said without turning around. I'm done investing in people who only show up when they need something. I'm done being everyone's shield. You'll come back, he called after me, louder now. Startups are like families. You can't just quit. I turned around, finally smiling. I didn't quit the startup, Leonard, I said. I quit pretending you were worth saving. And then I walked out. This time, for good. It didn't happen all at once. No spectacular implosion, no big headline declaring the end of Lattice Pulse. Just a slow unraveling, like a sweater coming apart at the sleeve, quiet, awkward, inevitable. The first sign came 2 weeks after I walked out of that workspace. I got a LinkedIn notification that Evan was open to work. Then another one. Priya had quietly updated her job title to freelance product consultant. No mention of the startup anywhere in her bio. The official page for Lattice Pulse went silent. No new posts, no updates. Just the same pinned announcement from demo day, the one I'd written myself before everything went sideways. Then the rumors started. A friend of mine from another incubator messaged me late one night. Hey, didn't you work with Leonard? He's been telling people a big bridge round fell through because of internal misalignment. Everyone's confused. I wasn't. The truth was simple. The funding didn't fall through because of me. It fell through because once I left, the magic left with me. The product stalled. The demos broke. Investors who'd once been impressed by our scrappy team started asking harder questions. Without me writing the code and fixing bugs between calls, nothing held together. But they couldn't say that out loud. So instead, they blamed timing, burnout, vision drift. All those vague startup excuses that sound deep but mean nothing. Then, one by one, the investors went cold. The final twist came from a recruiter friend who reached out to ask if I had any insight into the Lattice team's actual stack. Apparently, Mason had listed co-architected AI infrastructure on his resume. She'd worked with enough engineers to know that phrase was probably hiding something. I told her the truth. Briefly, professionally, he didn't build it. I did. A few days later, Mason texted me. Mason, did you really tell people I lied on my resume? I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Because at that point, the story was no longer about me. It was about what happened when the person everyone leaned on finally stopped showing up. A few former team members reached out, some with apologies, some just with confusion. Priya, I didn't realize how bad it was until you were gone. Evan, if I'd known what Leonard was doing with the budget, I would have said something. But I wasn't looking for closure. I wasn't interested in being vindicated. I just wanted peace. So I let the silence speak for me. While they scrambled to save a company built on borrowed effort and false credit, I was busy building something else entirely. Something that belonged to me. It was late. One of those nights where the city felt too quiet and my apartment hummed with the kind of silence that made you think too much. I was curled up on the couch with my laptop, half working, half scrolling through nothing, when my phone lit up. Unknown number. I almost let it ring out. But something made me tap accept. Hello? There was a pause. Then I heard the voice I hadn't heard since the day I walked away from it all. Rachel. Leonard. For a second, I said nothing. I could hear traffic in the background on his end, like he was pacing a sidewalk or standing outside some half-empty bar. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, he said, but I wanted to talk. I didn't say anything. He cleared his throat. I've been doing some thinking. About what happened. About how I handled things. Another pause. You were right to leave. The words didn't land the way he thought they would. Not like an apology. More like a script. You thought I'd always be there, I said, voice calm. You built the whole operation around the idea that I wouldn't walk away. He didn't deny it. I did underestimate you, he said. I thought you'd get over it. That maybe you just needed space. More silence. I could hear the way his breath caught. He wasn't calling just to clear the air. He was calling because things were falling apart. I didn't expect losing you to make this much of a mess, he said. The product stalled. Investors are out. It's bad. I waited. So, he added carefully, I guess I'm asking, is there any chance you'd consider consulting? Just short term. Help stabilize things. There it was. Even now, after all of it, he still wanted something. No, I said, not unkindly, just final. A beat passed. I figured you might say that, he muttered. Thought it was worth a shot. Don't mistake quiet for weakness, Leonard, I said. I walked away because I was done, not because I didn't know what I was worth. He let out a long breath. Yeah, okay. I hope you figure it out, I said, but I'm not your safety net anymore. He didn't argue, just said, take care, and hung up. And I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Closure. The kind that doesn't need a grand speech. Just a simple no. 6 months later, I was on a flight to Lisbon, watching the Atlantic glitter beneath the clouds, when I realized something strange. I didn't feel tired. Not I got 8 hours of sleep rested. Not I had coffee awake. I felt whole. Unburdened, free. The startup was dead. Officially. Someone posted the obituary on Twitter, Lattice Pulse shutting down, citing team restructuring and resource challenges. I didn't retweet it. I didn't even click the article. I didn't need to. I'd already started something new, quietly. Just me and a prototype I'd been tinkering with since before Lattice was even an idea. A solo project. No co-founders. No pitch deck. No Leonard. I got accepted into a small incubator in Berlin. No drama. Just honest curiosity and clean code. I flew back and forth, building, learning, sleeping. For once, I wasn't carrying dead weight or absorbing someone else's emotional debt. It was like my brain finally had space again. My mornings were calm. My inbox didn't make my heart race. Nobody expected me to fix their mess while smiling through it. I read books. I made plans. I took long walks without thinking about server costs. And money? I was fine. Better than fine, actually. A few angel investors I met during demo day reached out, not because they'd heard gossip, but because they remembered the way I handled myself under fire. You kept your head while everyone else panicked, one of them said over Zoom. That's who I bet on. I didn't say much. I just smiled and let them talk, because I'd learned something the hard way. Your value isn't in how much chaos you can tolerate. It's in how fiercely you protect your peace. I spent a week in Lisbon before heading back to the incubator. I visited bookstores, drank too much espresso, ate fresh pastries on rooftops. I didn't feel like I was running away from something. I felt like I was arriving. One night, I stood by the water, phone in my hand, looking at an old screenshot from our very first pitch deck. It had a quote on it, one I used to believe in. Strong teams build strong futures. I chuckled. Maybe the quote still worked. I just had the wrong team. Now, I was building one where boundaries weren't up for negotiation, where contribution didn't mean surrender, where my work wasn't proof of loyalty, it was just work. Fair, clean, sustainable, no codependent cycles, no guilt-wrapped gratitude, just progress. I powered off my phone, slipped it into my pocket, and turned back toward the city. Whatever came next, it was mine. No one else's name on the paperwork, no one else's hand on the mic, just mine.